Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Wikid creator interview. This is going to be part of a new series that we're going to be starting that going to kind of dive into all of our creators and what makes them tick and what inspires them. And we have with us today Cody Fernandez, the creator of Jack Irons the Steel Cowboy, among a few other projects. Welcome, and I'm Michael at Nub Guy. I am one of the co-founders of Wikid, and we also have Matt B. Sulos, who's another founder with us today. So
Hey,
welcome,
how's
guys.
it going, guys? Sorry if you guys can hear sirens behind me.
That's okay. They're probably just after those Wicked comics, man.
Yeah, they're just
You
on to
know it,
us.
man.
That's all.
They're
Yeah,
going like
they know the
fire.
secrets. So how's it going, Cody? Welcome back. We're happy to
Thank
have you
you.
here.
Yeah, thank you for having me as always. It's always fun to kind of do this. It throws me off my usual reclusive, just passive PR. So
Right,
that's
exactly.
always fun.
It's always fun to interact with the other members of the chat.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
I wanted to just kind of first start by saying, we love Jack Irons, and I'm sure that people in the chat do too. And so we're today we just like to dive into a little bit about what kind of inspired you and what are some of the things that you've kind of experienced through your work on Jack Irons. So before we begin that, I'd just like to say, general, how have you been doing these days? How are your post campaign days going?
Oh, it's been going well. There's up and down periods with creating most anything. For me especially, it seems that it comes in strong waves. So that's always fun when you're riding the wave up of getting new stuff in and creating and sharing it with folks. And then there's that down lull while things are getting made and such. And so that's been for a little bit, but there's so much to keep me busy, and I have fun with all of it. So it's a good thing for me. I enjoy it. So I've been all right. I've
Seems
been
like
I've
you
been pretty
always
good.
seems like you always do find ways to keep yourself busy with new projects.
Oh yeah.
A lot of, lot of.
I've been kicking them. Here we go. I've been kicking around basically what's become now Ironverse comics for a while, and
Sorry about
no worries. And well, that's just kind of comes with the territory for me. I like more almost building the world and then the characters and kind of watching them run around in my head, trying to make stories out of them. That drives me a lot, and so it's I like to vary that.
that. Well, that actually leads me to kind of a question for creating it. Did you have any specific philosophies while building it?
Philosophies, interesting. No, there's not much of a rigid outline. When I did Jack, I knew I wanted that cowboy, I wanted the immortal thing, and I really was trying to expand it as wide an idea as I could, just so I had a large base to run on to find where it works.
Hmm
So not really necessarily first inspired by a message that you wanted to be across, but really more of the iconic imagery that you saw.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot, and it's about
Hmm.
10 years ago now. So I was a teenager. So yeah, I'll just start at the beginning. That's probably the best way to go about it
Yeah,
anyway.
no, that sounds great.
So of course, when I was a little kid, my exposure to comic IPs wasn't through comic books, but it was through the Saturday morning cartoon shows.
hmm
Batman animated series, Spider-Man animated series, all that kind of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what got me into the comic sphere, I'd say. And then from there, in my teens, I finally, started having a little bit of freedom and a little bit more money. And so I finally found I came across looking at. I had heard of Ghost Rider. And I had seen the imagery. I was like, "Huh, that's an interesting character I haven't seen, and I don't hear very many people talking about, and I find it fucking badass." I'm a huge. I grew up. My dad's been a biker. I grew up around bikers, and I
Okay.
just I love all that feeling. So of course that carried into Jack. But on the same role,
Mm.
it was Clayton Crane and Garth Ennis's run Road to Damnation that got me into comics. That showed me a story, both with visuals and just the story itself, that the young me had never conceived of. How it was presented was just something that hit every note I wanted it to. And it's like, that's what I want. That's what I want to do. And
Wow.
so I started kind of thinking, like, how am I gonna do this? And so I kicked that around for a while. Eventually, I got to a point where, well, I should just write something, and I hammered out the first 5 scripts or something way
Just like
back in the
that.
day. Well, it was one night of I my creative spurts come when I need to get something done instead of what's going on in my life.
I can understand that totally. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was one of those times, and it was a world of my making I could escape into that was from so many things I enjoyed. Ghost Rider led me. Garth Ennis's run on Ghost Rider led me to his other work, in particular Punisher, who I'd always liked because, again, it was slightly off, not quite a superhero because he's going around being a serial killer, but somehow everybody's happy with it. That concept is like, oh, so this is as dark as you can go and still make people happy, huh? So that kind of painted it, and then I got exposed to Warhammer 40K, which also kind of paints it with how dark they went. And once again, I still enjoy that universe. It's things like that kind of really was what kicked around and became the Jack Irons idea. But mainly, you can even see it in the first issue. It was really just getting the ideas out of my head onto paper, and then to an artist, and then getting the ideas the art gave me onto paper.
Wow. So it's interesting. You seem to be heavily inspired by Garth Ennis's work on that, on, like you said, on Punisher and on Ghost Rider. I didn't realize he'd done Ghost Rider. What are some other writers that you've have influenced you and inspired you throughout the years?
He's like the hardcore. It's that black humor keeps me entertained.
He's
If you're
there's not really
long-winded and epic, he's straight to the point, and then he characterizes his characters really well. They're all very separate, and he makes you hate the guys he's going to kill. He makes you hate them more than you would hate almost anything, and I appreciate that. No other writer really does that. But let me see. I had a lot of fun with for like classic superheroes, like Civil War, that whole bit Mark Miller kind of organized and got together. I really respect and enjoyed that run so much. Almost everything about the original Civil War was just great. It was one of their last hurrahs, in my opinion. So that's really good. I read, it's Ennis too. Let's see. That's Hellblazer Ennis, though. It's a little bit different.
I do love him. Yeah, that is really good. He did some good work on that series. Yeah.
So the first Hellblazer I got was, of course, Jamie Delano's trade paperback of that first bit. So I really like his esoteric work too a lot.
It's very wordy. It's very like you said, esoteric, kind of a little different. And it really goes into the emotion of him. I feel like the inner dialogue of Constantine.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit more, I don't know, whimsical. Garth is very, very black and white.
Yes,
I like having a little bit more fun. Garth's gray is a very dark gray.
Yeah, that's very true.
I mean, I usually pick what I like out of character runs, and I don't remember the writers.
Okay.
Thor, J. Michael Straczynski, he's a god among writing anyway, just for a period. But his run of Thor, when he resurrected Thor after they killed him that first time before Civil War, when they did Ragnarok, I guess it was. That run's really good. I like the emotion of bringing Asgard to Earth and having it float in Oklahoma. It was just that was great. Yeah, honestly, I've just read a lot. Jonah.
So yeah, kind of. You have a lot of you have a lot of different things to pull from. It sounds like.
Yeah, and then old 80s sci-fi movies, video games. I mean, I try to make it relatively clear in my work without being a ripoff. I mean, issue 1, you got RoboCop versus Unforgiven in a panel. I absolutely love that. That's kind of puts my ideas of what I was trying to do with Jack just on right where it needs to be, a dark, gritty Western in a sci-fi world.
Speaking of which, I the world of Jack Irons, I'm sure as many of the listeners know out there, you're from New Mexico, and there's a lot of desert and the kind of settings. Was this something that you think that inspired your love of Westerns, or was there something else going on there that kind of inspired that?
I can't tell you. It's been, since I was tiny, they've been interwoven. So I guess it would be impossible to say no.
Really, it's
But
almost like which
also,
came first, the chicken or the egg thing, kind of, right?
yeah, basically, just because I grew up with my dad liking those '80s action heroes and liking the kind of more subdued but still similar idea of the spaghetti westerns, and I like the spaghetti western subtlety a little bit better.
Mm.
I think the deaths play better and such with a little bit more gravitas and a lot less, stick around.
True,
But
yeah.
yeah. But it's all good stuff, and I loved it all. But that's where I try and skew things, and
Mm.
yeah, growing up here, in the scenery and such. So my artist, Maximiliano Dallo, extremely talented artist that I was so lucky to connect with. He's from Argentina, but he's also spent time, in fact, in my hometown and in the surrounding areas. And so I think that also kind of comes off in the work, which is great. That's what I want. Because there is a very much Jack's overall universe, and as you folks see it be built, if I'm lucky enough to keep building it, you'll kind of see maybe a little bit of my perspective just looking out at life of how things are set up and how people interact overall. I mean, I'm talking wide angle, and I'm hoping that comes through and people enjoy seeing that perspective. I'm hoping it hasn't been shown too often, and it's a there's a lot for me to tell, and I would be just it would make my life if I could tell it all.
Tell the whole tale of Jack.
Yeah, exactly, Jack, and so much more.
Oh, there's so much. Yeah, I know, right? There's so much more to go with the Ironverse comics. Now we have a question
Yeah.
in the chat here from Dusk
Oh, right
Quilting.
on.
Says, got a question. In the first drafts of Jack Irons, was there ever anything you had to edit out that you may or may not have been embarrassed about being there in the first place?
In the first drafts, well, okay, so the only drafting is hard for me to. So I guess all of my work's kind of ongoing until it hits that page after I see the art. So in the first drafts, no, not really. Issue 3, I'm a little worried about one particular moment. I'm not embarrassed, and I'm not going to edit it out. I think it's brutal and is a very well placed moment, but it's a lot, and so that's I've been to that place a few times, but I've never gone past the line of what I've liked. So I've never self censored. There
Oh,
was
okay.
one idea that's more of a design choice that still hasn't really had an opportunity to appear, so it might, but it's relatively controversial, and I'm still kicking it around to see if I want to take that risk, if it's worth it, just to put a symbol down on the page, that doesn't matter too much, but it's got an idea to me, and I would like to see it. So I still got to judge it.
Now, you say, you've never self-centered yourself. Have you ever had an instance where working with an artist, you have, written something down and you see it one way in your head and then maybe it comes back somewhat more censored in the final product?
Not more censored, no. In fact, if anything, Maxi makes my scripts more, more
More
gritty.
visceral.
Yeah, with this issue too, he really I'll mention a beheading, and he has them flying across the room in shadow with a black blood trail flying off them. Things like that.
George R. R. Martin would like this guy, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Nice Chicano-looking dictator with an ear necklace. He's got an ear necklace. I mean, I'm stoked. I love his work, and that's why when I write, I'm just trying to get my framework on the page. And when that framework's on the page, then the artist really makes something out of it, and then I can make a story out of our collaboration. But before that point, it's really difficult for me to really just be like, yeah, this is what has to happen. Just because basically every time I've gotten art back from an artist, it's been better than what I thought. And I think an open mind can grasp at better concepts than me thinking in a closed mind one. There's some things that are going to happen, but I've never had them want to change anything like that. It's just a different flavor of what I wanted, and most of the time it's better.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah. But again, I mean, I'm talking like I've been in the trenches forever. I mean, this is only a year after it's not even been a year since I got funded. So if I sound confident in what I'm saying, this could change tomorrow.
Don't say that. I'm sure once your next crowdfunding gets around, you'll have a lot of cool people backing you as well. So
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
now, I was curious about something actually that I've been thinking about for a while now, and which is that you've been working on this project, as you said, for a very long time. And so I consider it a
Yes.
bit of a passion project for you of yours, and so what is it like to work with a team on something that's so personal for you?
Well, again, the main thing, and I was just talking with an actual pro not too long ago, who also has written Constantine. Gosh, it's gonna bug me. I don't remember his name. He wrote the most recent animated movie for Constantine too. It's gonna bug me. I'm sorry if for some reason you're listening to this. Feel free to castigate
The
me on
City of
Twitter.
Demons you're talking about?
Yeah, he wrote that. He adapted it. It's actually based off of the All His Engines story arc, which is way better in the graphic novel. But they tried to fit a lot into there, and I don't blame them. And
That one's written by Mike Carey, I believe, the original graphic novel.
Yeah, the original's Mike Carey, and that's really good. But the adaptation, I was talking to him, and he was saying,
oh right,
yeah, he was saying the chemistry between the artist and the writer is basically all that matters. The rest of it can go to hell. If you two have a good chemistry, you're going to make something good. But if you don't, then it's just you're going to be fighting each other the whole time. And sometimes good books are built from that. But it's a harder battle. It's a much harder battle. And I'm pretty sure that's what most of the non-creator owned IPs are going through, is that harder battle. And so that I don't envy them on that.
No, that's a bit of a tricky walk. You gotta, it's a fine line for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Real quick, since you were on the line of talking to a real pro, has anybody influenced or helped you inspired certain parts of Jack Irons or even some of the characters themselves? Has anybody that you have either talked to or have looked at through doing research helped you along the way?
Well, there's a lot of folks that helped me along the way. I'm talking to two of them right now.
You're too kind.
and probably everybody in chat too, guys. Thank you. I wouldn't be here yapping your ears off without you. When I got, it's a complicated and long story, but it's not too bad. So I reached another low point in my life and I needed another direction. So I tried crowdfunding Jack Irons the first time. No physical options, none of that. 2 months of decent. I would hit like Reddit and I'd hit places like that, plugging, but no real hits, no real interaction. So that campaign made $10 and then died. The second campaign, I said, screw it. I've got nothing better to do. I need to put my all into this. And so I found where people were interacting, engaging, and had an open mind. And I placed my product in front of them with courtesy and with respect. It was a good product. And at least in my opinion, and everybody who backed me, I hope, working on number 2, that'll hopefully give you guys a final word on that and see if you want more. But so that meant a lot, and that environment was built by a lot of outrage with what's being made these days, and disappointment in directional choices from the core fan base. And so I was able to deliver a product that appealed to that core fan base and interact with them respectfully, and I got rewarded for it.
Seems like now was the right time for it too,
It was very much the right time. Again, let's see. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Cactus, my partner, kind of who's helping me organize and draft all this into a cohesive universe. I'm just gonna keep calling him a pseudonym, Cactus Coyote, until he gives me the go or it gets printed on a book. But he introduced me to Bakuman. It's a manga originally, but I watched the anime. That's how he got
Nice.
introduced to watch it. And it teaches you drive, and it shows you kind of how much you have to be willing to flex and adapt. And again, chemistry between the writer and artist mattered the most. But
Oh yeah, okay.
it's
I've heard a lot of good stuff about it, that series. You know.
It's worth it. It's a little campy. It's a romance more than anything, but it's like romance with comics and also this cute little romance between one of the mangaka and a voice actress.
I will say, if you're liking it, there's also a prequel show, that's more of a straight up comedy, which I
Is
did
it
see.
It's Blue or something, right? Blaze Blue or something like that.
No,
No, not that one.
oh shit, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like, it's basically when he's in high school.
Okay.
It's pretty good if you're looking for follow up, but you check that out.
Yeah, there's another one he had me go through that's about the founders of was it Gygax or Gynax Studios?
Oh really?
Yeah, that's a sitcom, and it kind of follows a loose following of how they kind of formed and got together, and that was really cool too.
That
There's
sounds
a
fun,
lot
yeah.
of great inspirational entrepreneurial stories out there if you need that pick me up these days. A lot of people do. But
now we have another. Sorry, I was
for
gonna say we have another question from the chat. Dustcool asks this, or do you see, considering you want to make this a project an entire universe, the Ironverse, do you have any plans on expanding the creation team to work on multiple projects simultaneously, or do you still want to stay very hands-on with everything yourself, being personally involved with everything?
Well, right now I've got that balance. It will change if this was to, I don't know, expand into real multiple series releases. I can say at the moment I have, what is it? 3. So there's 5 titles being worked on, including Jack. One of those is a manga and is shorter by nature, and the other 3 are minis that I want to possibly combine into an anthology if we can get the funding and all that. That's down the road. But I do already have an expanded creative team that can deliver on those books. So that's already there. In fact, a few of them were excited enough to already start work before I have funding.
Wow, that's pretty generous.
That's also why I'm hesitant to talk about it too much
It's
because
a little
things could
too
change.
early. Yeah.
Exactly, but I can say issue number 2 introduces the very end introduces a character I'm really excited to get out to folks, and one of the pinups helps enforce that character. There's a lot I'm hoping folks will enjoy coming with this. On that note, since I just brought it up, the pinups for issue 2, 4 of them are done, ready for print, and
Awesome.
one of them is at the colorist now, so we'll see how that goes, and the other is what is it, 5? Do I just have to? And the other is actually with the colorist also, but he's like 95% done. So almost all the way done with those, and every one of them I'm proud to have been able to make happen. The artist combos are outrageous, and I'm trying to, my hope is to include artist bios on the back, so they'll double as a promo piece for everybody who kind of was willing to support and lend their talents to hopefully help the backers feel they got a little bit extra reward.
That's excellent. And you know what? The one I've seen is the one with the, I believe they're the 4 horsemen. Is that what you call them, or?
Well, what I do, it depends the title that's referring to them. For instance, their shtick is that they're a manifestation, a physical manifestation of an abundance of some thought form. For instance, Famine Incorporated is a manifestation of the concept of suffering and starvation. War, concept of war. They're pretty basic: plague, disease. It's when a world gains so much of that on it literally spits out something physical to just try and do it. They're
So is
rogue
the
aspects of reality.
Are they unique to the worlds, or are there multiple versions, or is that explained ahead are we going too much into this?
Well, I got to get to issue 5 to even consider getting off world. Right now, you can refer to
Fair
them.
enough. Fair enough.
You can refer to them as the horsemen, and that's fine because they do work with the biblical context. So Christians on Earth would see them as that. So that's
That
fine.
makes sense. Yeah.
But I have a character that's not Christian, and in their version they call it the Four Horrors. It's just
It's
there's
all
different
based on
versions of it.
perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In space, I think we're probably just going to call it horsemen and such because that's when it gets ground into the universe. But right now, I'm just trying to give a good, fun little journey and see if I can get it expanded.
That's awesome. And I love that pinup that came out of it with them all sitting together.
Oh, that's from Deathsworn creator and Carl Oro. He's extremely talented. I recommend you guys check out Deathsworn. The next issue, which I believe is issue 3 that's coming out, his coloring is just, and his lines, the kid is so talented. I was so lucky to have him contribute the lines. And then I believe his name was SE Talks on Twitter. He did the colors and oh man, he brought out the dark into light, and it's like the sunset of humanity in the back. I adore that piece. I really hope others do too.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, I have another question for you, Cody.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about you being on working with this team, and you have a line artist and a colorist and a letterer, and this whole full team you have. What is it? What has it been like going on this journey with your creative team, and what are some of the highlights you've experienced and some of the trials or obstacles you've faced?
Oh, okay. Okay, highlights. Always the highlights first. The best part is when you get that piece of art back, whether it's the first line art or the first concept sketch, and you see their version of your vision. And in my case, 90% of the time, it's better than my vision. So that right there, always a highlight. Same with colors, the same idea. Comes back with something better than I had thought for the scene. Same idea. I adore that. That's why I want to bring other people to work with me on this, is because it's more than me. It needs to be to get to where it needs to go. And these talented folks have the eye to see how to guide it that way that I just don't, or the talents that I just don't. And that's why I love this collaborative art. I could have just wrote novels. I could just write, stuff like that. I like building more than what I could do.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So
pretty
that's
smart.
the highlight. That's the highlight. Low ends are, of course, then there's lots of periods where something that you're very passionate about is stalled and it's completely beyond your control. And you just are yelling at the wall.
Wow.
That's a definite negative with working with other people on anything, especially this where it's great distances and digitally. There's a disconnect. I was lucky enough to meet Maxie in person at a McDonald's. That's totally where he got my scripts, and that's where I totally got his first concepts. And
I love that story. It's so great.
Craigslist McDonald's meeting. I didn't get stabbed. I got a hit comic.
Wow. Who would have thought, right?
That's a perfect story right there.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Craigslist would love to hear it.
Yeah, you'll be the next spokesperson for sure with that story.
But because of your team, has any of this changed the writing process for you, in a sense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just right off the bat, I can say yes, because honestly, like I said, my whole bit was so I went in as just a wide-eyed dreamer. I had no clue what I was doing when I tried to hire an artist. No idea on rates, no idea on who to look for, no idea on how the business works, how to pay them, all of that. All of that's just nothing before you actually get in the trenches and have to do it. But with that. I talked myself out of my line of thought.
That's okay. I've done that before.
What was the question? Excuse me.
Matt, if you don't mind.
How much has this changed your writing process through working with a team that's a little I wouldn't say like so bad or even so good, but like on how it varies so much, you could say.
Oh well, that's yeah. Well, with the first issue, it took a year to get all the line art in from Maxi. How much I was paying was part of it, and how much time he had to dedicate to it. But it was obvious the fact that he accepted the job and did deliver the pages that he, at the very least, believed in the project, and
Hmm.
that mattered a lot to me. That right there shows the chemistry. He wants to work on this. So that mattered a lot to me. And so when he would put the lines in, instead of looking at it as what did he do differently, what needs to change, I need it to be the script. I
Hmm.
looked at it like, oh, that's kind of like what I want. I can write to that. And so that's kind of similar. Now for the colors to the artist, I kind of handled that with issue 1. Issue 2, it's a little bit different. Maxie wants a little bit more hands because he's pouring a lot into his lines, and I don't blame him. So the dynamic might change there again. It's when you're working with freelancers, just period. It would be me included. The dynamics always are going to be changing, and you always have to be adaptable. That's the only way you're going to survive. If you try too rigid and you don't have the power and influence to make things happen by yourself, you're not going to make things happen.
So you'd say flexibility is the key to a good relationship with your creator or with your creative team.
Yeah, exactly. But also don't give up your vision. Don't
Okay.
don't ever if this is your baby, like Jack and Ironverse Comics is my baby, don't let somebody else raise it wrong while you're paying for it, and then not enjoy
Hmm.
what comes out. It's just
No,
that's
yeah.
totally illogical. So
Mm.
you've got to make sure your hands are on the wheel enough, but not that they're on the throat of the artist. It's a hard balance. I've found, especially with working with all the different pinup artists and all the different team members with the other comics and such, different artists need different interactions. It's just how it goes. Some people need a heavier hand and a more constant reminder and constant check-ins. Some folks you can pay them and they'll just get you the product in 2 or 3 days and you'll adore it. It's there's a lot of give and takes that you got to learn, and that's why a lot of people end up working with each other again and again and again, because that worked, and it's hard to find things that work.
And
No,
that
yeah,
makes a
yeah.
lot of
That
sense,
that
actually.
makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of on how it goes with anything, really.
That's
Yeah,
how
yeah,
me and Matt found each other, really. I mean, working that kind of working relationship, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Me and him used to work at the same place and learned that one was a writer and one was an artist, and decided to see what each other has, and decided to just come out with our own story together.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool way to meet. And I'm sure that, that's kind of how you probably felt when you met Matthias and Maxi and all your members, really.
Yeah. Honestly, there was one other speed bump.
Mm.
Due to my another thing that adds to my dislike of people treating each other as groups and not individuals is I lost my original letterer that's on my free to view version on Tapas that I
Mm.
used to market. Sweetheart, he was fine. He just didn't want to associate with the direction and the people I was selling to, and that sucks. But the man is talented. He was kind. He did all that lettering because he found my book and saw the lettering and hated it. He did it for free. He redid it. He's like, "Here, I want you. I love the story. I love the art. It needs to look better. Here's some lettering." The guy did great work. I have no problem with him doing what he felt he needed to do for his work. But that was a speed bump, and I dislike that. That had to be a thing. But I did find a new letterer through a somebody who had found me early on called Nashitobi. He's a great artist right now.
Wait,
He's done
what?
yeah. Not so that wait, let me finish. So
No, sorry,
Nashitobi,
sorry,
they,
sorry,
they
sorry.
they have he wrote a book. There's a crowdfund now for a book called Long Harbor. He wrote it. It's a Lovecraftian sea-based horror piece. I recommend you guys check it out. The art is immaculate. But anyway, he found me, and he was a very stern guy. He's very practical, no bullshit. He told me how he thought he'd see things going, and what he thought would go wrong, and how he felt I was doing this right, but things like that. And man, I love that guy for it, because he really
Yeah,
kept
he's
me
awesome.
track at the beginning. And then he
Wow.
when I lost this letterer, he came to me in the DMs and suggested someone, Vincent Rush. and
Okay. Wow.
and
That's
well,
awesome.
off of how I felt about his no nonsense and kind of knowing what space he's working in, I took the chance on Vince. And Vince is amazing. I love Vince. I love
That's
all my team
incredible.
members.
That's
They're all great.
such a crazy story because we've loved National Shelby ourselves. He always is our been our consultant for on things and always given steered us in the right direction and never done us wrong. So I'm glad to hear that he helped you out with that.
Yeah, he's a great consultant and a true fan of comics and stories themselves. I mean,
Yeah.
to be honest, I mean, just to plug his thing, just go find the link for the Indiegogo for his Long Harbor and
I'm gonna go
definitely
plug.
back
I'll put it
him.
in the chat for sure.
Yeah, no,
I'm
go
sure
for it,
you've
guys.
seen it
Yeah, it's
already.
rocking. It's like only 4 days in, and it's almost funded, and it deserves every penny past that.
The
Exactly.
team they've got on it is incredible. They've got the artist. He's done work with Neil Blomkamp, the director for District 9 and Elysium and Chappie, and I'm sure I think even the Halo, one of the old Halo trailers, live action trailers. So
Oh, nice.
he's this guy. He's probably done creature work for him, I'd imagine. So this guy's got a good pedigree behind him. So yeah, but back to Jack Irons.
Yeah. No,
Someone says looking looks woohoo links. I like that. But Dust actually a couple people brought up. So Dust says if you want to embarrass and or excite Cody, ask him how it feels to know there's at least one fanfic dedicatedly adding chapters for Jack Irons. And Blue and Bob adds the book deserves all the fanfic it gets. So
well,
what are your thoughts on fanfic? I mean, how has it been to know and to see that people are inspired with fan fiction and fan art, and there's so many things that people really connected with Jack.
so this is absolutely it's a great question. So first off, another reason why I try to be so adaptable is because when I made the universe, Jack, the character I made him to be a mantle character. He's supposed to be able, not in terms of like a new Batman, a new Jack. No. In terms of me passing that writing or that concept on to other folks. I tried to make him so wide and such so many stories you could tell with the character. It's an infinite amount of tales. And I want everybody who has a voice that they want to use through Jack to be able to do that. And so all the fan art and stuff, it just reinforces the fact that I can maybe do that. And that really, like, again, that's a dream being lit. I just, that it's really magical. I can't explain how much I appreciate folks enjoying what I do, and then not only that, but wanting to be part of it. That's just, I love that.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, there's just been an outpouring from your fans and your readers, and it's really cool to see that so many people have been inspired by it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear a lot of that, and though I'll always be skeptical, and as a human, we always judge ourselves rough, so you can kind of doubt good things. If Jack inspires anybody to create and to just enjoy art, I've done my job.
Oh, I'm sure it has. Yeah, I'm positive of that. Well, let's see. Matt, did you want to ask me?
Yeah. I was just thinking about it and I kind of forgot it right now.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's all right. It's all right. So, I remember you saying RoboCop and Punisher, of course, and with Ghost Rider. What other kind of you could say sci-fi has really influenced your Jack Irons? Because it seems like there's a little bit of like dystopian future style. It's kind of like a Blade Runner feel, but
Yeah.
set more in the Western. So I'm just kind of wondering what other sci-fis have really influenced your work.
Oh God, name a good sci-fi movie. I've probably seen it, and it's probably somehow influencing it. But okay, so I'm a huge Trek fan. I'm a huge Star Trek fan. You won't see that till we get out into space, though, folks. So get me there. I'm a big fan of. In fact, okay, if you guys could get me there, it's One Piece meets Star Trek, but in a universal post-apocalyptic hell. Get me there, folks.
Jeez.
Get me there. But anyway,
I love that. I mean, that sounds awesome. Please get him there.
oh man, we got it down to detail. It's a lot. I have so much fun with it, so I'm really hoping others would. But we got to get there. So anyway, before that, we're here now. So I'm let's see. There's Mad Max is obvious. That's like one of the three. Mad Max, huge influence. Cowboy Bebop, more in tone and style, and with dealing their philosophy than presenting like Cowboy Bebop. Trigun is a big one. Oh, there's so much.
Oh man, that's a
Nausicaa Valley
good
of the
Western
Wind.
sci-fi. That's a really
Yeah.
good one.
Just recently been reading the manga. He was really spastic, so sometimes it's hard to know what he tried to convey with the art. He's cool. I mean, it's readable. It's readable. I'm fine with it, and there's a lot of cool moments. But yeah, his getting it clear to the audience wasn't his first goal. It was getting it down, and I respect that. I did the same thing.
It's a bit of a different style than the anime a bit too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I believe so.
Specifically though, I mean, with our other titles, you're going to see a lot more of what influenced me. I wrote the preview scripts for 4 out of 5 of them, so it's all still from me, and it's all still from my idea of what I'm trying to build here. So it all has that kind of vibe I tried to get with Jack Irons, but all in different segments. Cactus Coyote, he decided to really do his manga and anime and put a little bit more silly in there, and I was fine with that. It works really well because it plays against the actual story that he's writing. All of that's just very much like Coyote, just a facade. It's something that you're seeing, but it's not really what's going on, and I like that a lot. So he's got a lot of noir and stuff influence that I don't, that probably will show in a lot of anime influence that I also don't share, a lot of older stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's really hard. You could probably throw a rock at a pile of sci-fi movies, and I could tell you some bit of influence that it had on Jack.
A lot of different things.
Yeah.
So we have another question in the chat here. Gorgonite Emissary says, I got a question. How many prototypes / phases did the Jack Irons concept go through until Cody settled on the finalized version? In terms of both probably maybe look or concept, both, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that was what I would ask, is if you're talking about art or if you're talking about story. But on both, I would say Jack went through about maybe three versions, and in issue 2 he's off model again, so he's a little bit tweaked. So it's a few, and I've been happy with all of them. Mine, I was happy that I got the idea on page. I didn't like the execution, but I was happy it was down. So that's one. In terms of the story, honestly, it was all stream of consciousness. I had it kicking around in my head for so long, and it just hit one of those days where, yeah, I need to get this down. So I just hammered it out, and so I've been tweaking it. The script in issue 1, the finalized script, I'd someday like to, if we do a nice trade paperback with the first arc, we can include some of my script and concept samples in the back, and then you folks can see how much it changed from what I gave to Maxie to what ended up on your page.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Some behind the scenes stuff,
Yeah, because it's quite drastic.
Or a guidebook.
Ooh, an art book would be cool.
Yeah.
Or behind the scenes.
Oh yeah. There's a lot I could do there. Again, just rolling it out as we go and see what kind of steam we can pick up.
Right? Yeah. Who knows? I mean, with the next campaign, I'm sure there'll be a lot of interesting perks that'll come along with it. So it'll be exciting to see how that unfolds when the time comes.
Yeah, exactly. This summer is my plan.
Nice.
Basically around the same time. Goal is, though, we need to finish that first campaign first.
Oh yeah, get those number 2s out.
Yeah, number 2, the pinups.
Number 1s have been rolling out well. People, have you had any complaints? Have you heard what have you heard from people who've been getting their number 1s in?
Nothing but good stuff, which is
really
just, I'm skeptical about it. I'm wondering if people are just prideful and saying, you know what, I paid so much for this book. Yeah, it's good. But no, honest opinions, especially since now we've been able to put it out on digital for $3, so it's kind of hard for that to also be a justification. It's been good. An average of about 4 out of 5, which for a rookie effort, I'm ecstatic with.
That's awesome.
Mainly the art people love, just all the way through. My pacing, I guess, seems all right. If I was to judge myself, I would say I'm very disjointed in my thoughts because it was stream of consciousness writing, and I tell like 5 stories that first issue, so a lot of people are kind of like, well, did I get a story or did I get 5 little micro tales? And so that's another thing. But nothing that I haven't had anybody dislike the book. Just
That's
period.
awesome.
Like nobody said this wasn't for me, which has been a trip because you'd expect at least somebody doesn't like it. So I'm still waiting for that guy. We're going to get him out to more people as time goes on. So eventually that guy will show up, and hopefully he'll have criticism.
Well, I mean, all you can hope is that if that person does come along, is that it's probably 20 years in the future for it. And they're like, nah, no, move on.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So let's see. Dusk in the chat, he wanted to say that hell, it's because of Jack Irons and Cody's love of my fanfic and the support of the community that Cody got me into that I got inspired to create my own comics and work harder on my own projects as well. My comics, my indie tabletop highlights show my own tabletop games. I got a lot to thank Cody for, and in return, I will support him to my dying breath in his endeavors. Pretty awesome,
So
man. That's a fan
was
right there.
Death pledge, brother. I take things very literally.
Hey, man, Jack's worth it,
Actually, that's
a really
funny
good
thing.
story.
A lot of people have heard the creator of One Piece, when he had to look for a new assistant, he asked people if they would die for One Piece. Well,
really?
If I was to ask a similar question, I'd ask is if you would live for Ironverse. So that is great. I'm happy, Duskquill. But don't give me credit. I don't count. You're the one putting in the time and the effort to make these things. I'm happy I can be around, and if anything, make it feel a little bit better to be able to do those things. Because it's rough out there.
Well, that's for sure. Yeah, definitely. We're just joined by Sporkman in the chat.
Howdy, Spork.
Thanks for joining us. So I had another question for you here. So in issue number 1, we are introduced to the character of Jack Irons in his post-apocalyptic world. We also get to see his past lives throughout history and how those plague his waking mind. What can you tease us about the upcoming issue number 2 regarding what we might see next?
Oh, that's easy. Okay, I have this laid out for at least the first 3 issues. So the first issue, you're introduced to Jack's mind. You kind of feel what he thinks and how he exists. Issue 2, you're introduced to his world. You see where he lives and how he lives. Issue 3, you get to see his past, how he became and who he's met and who he's worked with. So my hope is issue 2 kind of finishes the basically expositional dump of issue 1 and allows us to start Jack's actual journey through things. That's hopefully conveyed well in issue 2. I'll see if folks agree, but that's kind of how I laid it out. So the first 3 issues are they're the introductory issues. The first 5 could be considered that, but after 3, you kind of have what you have, and you're actually on a journey with Jack. So I'm hoping people can be patient and enjoy what I'm building. I am very much more of a world builder than a storyteller, so that's always an issue. But I think I tell decent stories as well, so I'm hoping to use my strengths to benefit my weaknesses and get you guys a good product.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, I think that's what people want. I mean, that's what people appreciate about you is that you've put out such a good product and you've been such good with the fans and interacting with people, and I think they can see it, your passion for it.
Yeah, there's no question. I really want this to continue and just because I enjoy putting the art out there, and as long as people enjoy receiving it and supporting it, my God, I'll do it.
That's awesome.
That's always good to know. As far as like location, I know you don't really have you could say like more of a realistic location as far as a location here on our planet, but as far as some scenery you plan to be doing, is there anything that you will be kind of pointing out as far as like past or present time for Jack, so that this way it'll, I wouldn't say lead somewhere, but as possible hints towards something?
Well, I don't foreshadow too much. I recently had somebody comment when they were reading my rewrites to the first 10 pages of issue 2, that I kind of write like, and I noticed it in the first issue too, I write like I'm telling a fairy tale, like Jack's sitting there and telling a bunch of people a fairy tale. And some people can enjoy that kind of storytelling, and some people won't. And so I think my kind allows some foreshadowing, but I'm more trying to get across a feeling or an experience than I am actually telling a linear story. It's kind of hard to really tell, but it really is more of a feeling you'd get looking at a painting than it is a expositional philosophical dump from a textbook.
More of what it means to you, maybe as a reader.
Yeah, that would
I
be
can
my hope.
understand that the
Yeah,
to the eye of the beholder, in a sense.
yeah, exactly. I'm because if I'm getting rigid, it takes place in an alternate history, just so I don't have to worry about getting every little detail perfect, and it allows some things to happen that would change history quite a bit. Like, for instance,
Hmm.
Jack's world, really the last nail in humanity's coffin was Y2K. So, and then
Yeah, you
after
think
that,
about it
some
now,
things
it's
get
like, that wouldn't
introduced.
really happen.
Yeah, there's no well, and it wasn't literally Y2K. It was stroke of midnight year 2000, but it wasn't the nukes going off. It wasn't anything like that. You guys will find out issue number 2. But
Speaking of issue number 2, real quick, and I
yeah,
actually
go
want
for it.
to ask get to the chat a couple questions, but before we do, I wanted to say, I've been seeing some of the art come back, and I love the feel for issue number 2. It's very it opens the world up in such a different, sinister way. Like, I see these these. I love that shot with the. It looks like almost like a cartel house, and there's like these really cool cars, and they have like outfit with chain guns, and I was like, man, this is like some firepower right here, and it's just a different look for it. Jack Irons for the second issue that I'm really digging.
Yeah, it's been maybe 4.5 years since Maxie did issue 1. So in
Wow,
that, yeah, so in that time, his art style and his talents have changed.
huh?
So
That's interesting.
issue 1 and issue 2, there's going to be a change. He draws things differently. I don't think it's a detriment though. The before it was more, I don't know, it was cleaner and it was less aggressive. It was a much
Mm.
softer feel to the lines. They were still jagged, very Frank Miller kind of esque, but they were softer. This one, he went full on with those brush strokes,
That's
and
interesting.
it's gorgeous. It really adds to the greatness because the whole issue, up till maybe the back third, is just grit and death and basically humanity's death throes, and you see the influence that our 4 main multiversal bad guys did on Earth when they manifested. You see
Hmm.
what they did to it. Yeah, sure, tech got better faster. Sure, a lot of things accelerated, but it accelerated until it crashed. And now we're stuck in a stalemate between those 4 gods, just trying to live on a little reservation.
Poor
That's just
humanity. Jeez.
yeah, yeah. So
Now we know what
yeah,
it feels like to be trapped and herded around.
it's part of it. It's a large part of Jack's bit. It is a grim, dark universe. It's
Mm.
very much not a happy
Which is
place to
why
be.
Cactus Coyote exists to help lighten the load a little bit.
As will Golden Monk, as people see. It's
Oh, really? It's gonna
very
be a bit of more
gold.
lighter take.
Cactus Coyote is goofy to get by. Monk is goofy because he's senile. But what he's doing is I'm very heavy-handed in my, I don't want to use spiritual message because it's not really that. In my esoteric, I'll have to use that word, messages in Monk, and I think they're good. Again, if we can get them, I have three preview issues ready for art. So we're just and
Yeah, I'm
2
looking
artists
forward to that one
attached.
a lot. That's
So
a very
yeah,
cool character, I think. So we
Hmm.
have it in the chat here. Dusk says, "Consider we opened up to a robotic cyborg bounty hunter from Famine wanting Jack's head in a bar. How extreme can we expect to see Famine's response to the death of the OG bounty hunter?"
probably not that extreme.
Hmm.
Honestly, Jack's just another thing he has to worry about. It's nothing special in his eyes. So that was just the guy that day that was headed out to get him.
So that was more like a freelancer. You seem
Yeah,
to say.
basically he's just trying to get on good terms and maybe either get off planet or he just got on planet and wants a job.
So no one's gonna warn hit that robot, unfortunately.
Yeah,
It
probably.
seems that way.
So we have another question in chat. I'm not sure how to take this exactly, but Jordan Knight Emissary asked, "Does Jack Irons Brokeback Mountain issue and win?" Now,
So
does that?
what I know what he's talking about.
Good. I'm glad you do.
So folks, it's not a big theme in Jack, but he, having lived every type of conceivable life, his proclivities are many.
Like
So
Hellblazer,
that's
almost a little bit, huh?
yeah, basically, very
That's
much like
yeah.
John. So it's more the personal connection that would matter. So yeah, Brokeback, it could be done. That's a personal connection between two cowboys. I mean, that's fine. I don't think that's the message I'm trying to get across with Jack. But again, I do want
That's part of
Jack to be all over the place. So if
exactly. That's
somebody
part of
wants to
like
tell that
making.
story,
That's part of making
they're
that
welcome
character that
to.
universal icon, and it can mean different things for different people.
Yeah, that's kind of that's the hope. And so yeah, I mean, I know that was probably a joke question, but honestly, it could happen if somebody took up that mantle, and I was pleased with the results.
Yeah.
But I really, it would take somebody special to make that work.
As all projects in the Ironverse comics do, I think.
Yeah.
So speaking of the Ironverse, Jack Irons is part of that shared universe, the Ironverse comics, the Ironverse, which involves a number of other titles. What can you tell us about some of these other titles? You talked a little bit about the Golden Monk, but what can you share about these other upcoming titles?
First, Duskquill team. I mean, if you want to write it, you're welcome to try. But anyway, we can. So we started with Jack. Obviously, he's the introduction. He's a lot of the exposition dump because he's been on that world, living it for so long in different ways. He could see it coming. So that's his bit. Cactus Coyote. It takes place in the future a little bit, and we get to see how it actually works on the galactic scale instead of just on the tiny little ball that is Earth. And then there's another title. The character originates at the end of issue 2 and is a huge part of issue 3. His tales will be a lot on Earth. His goal is to become the top predator of the universe. Puts him at odds with the greatest prey, Jack Irons. He can't be killed, so you can't be the top predator if you can't kill the top prey. But his story is more complicated than that. I have a lot of different directions to go with him, but that's a good enough idea. His main goal is to hunt big things and then utilize them to hunt bigger things. Then there's Golden Monk, a senile disco enthusiast who prayed under a sacred tree, and his goal is to restore nature to Earth during Jack's time. His main bit is that he's senile, he's stuck in the 70s, yet he's still this godlike monk. I'm going to have a lot of fun with that character. And then there's one script I just finished today called Lady Silverado. That one I'm not going to tease much. But
That's interesting.
it was a lot of fun. It has my favorite opening
still
scene.
Still more in the drafts for that one instead of being
finalized. Pretty much. Each of the characters besides Cactus, Monk has a full-fledged first issue script I did about the time I did Jack Irons. But because this is all grown out of my original heavy metal Justice League idea. I was going to do a bunch of metal-themed superheroes. That was my goal. That's cool. And have them come together. And that was Jack's original. He's a steel cowboy. And I have the Golden Monk and the Platinum Knight. And
yeah, I mean, that's a really fun idea. I like that.
So I'm adapting that. It's changed so that the characters can have more unique personality, and then how they come together for the actual space stuff. That's going to be kind of cool.
So if we really want to see the different characters from the Ironverse come together in different ways, we really need to get Jack to space. Like really bad.
We gotta get Jack to space, and we gotta fund those extra little previews to see if any of those characters can also hold their own book.
That's gotta be the theme of the next crowdfund campaign is like a hashtag. I don't know, bring Jack to space or something. I like that idea.
I mean, a lot of people, if you just read the first issue, he could be in space.
He could be on a different planet. That's true.
Yeah, I got a lot of comments from him, from folks thinking that it was very much like a bar in Star Wars, which is great. I love that. But it wasn't. It was on New Deadwood in Earth, but it could very well have been in space. I plan to use that trope until people get sick of it, of him telling a story at a bar. So get used to that, folks. I want that little bit of disbelief that maybe he's just a drunk guy just talking stories. but it's all there, and we'll see how I can execute
So
it.
does that mean that technically that New Deadwood in South Dakota then, like the original Deadwood? Oh, okay.
No, it's not. It's a large chunk of the southwestern United States that was
Whoa.
cordoned off by an alien race who's the only opposing force to the Horsemen in space.
Wow. So
They're basically the galactic government, and they're hardcore fascists. So you guys will have fun with that.
So it's a large chunk of land then. It's not just one small town.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
A lot. People don't travel around it still because it's exceedingly hostile. It's still not a safe place. There's civilization that's been built and defended by this alien race, so that humanity is not an extinct species, but is a dying species. And it's important that people continue to breed. So a lot of people don't go out, but people like Jack or treasure hunters, very much like in Fallout or any other kind of post-apocalyptic, there's wonders out there. There's treasure. So there's reason to go outside of the civilization. It's just, again, it's a judging thing. How much do you need to get this done?
And is it worth your life?
If you get caught outside New Deadwood territory too, where the real juicy stuff is, you could end up a cybernetic slave for eternity, suffering the worst pain imaginable. So it's not great. Famine Inc. owns everything outside of New Deadwood, at least in the Americas. So there's a lot I gotta get down.
Does Jack Jack and people in New Deadwood, do they know what's outside of their territory, their little area?
Yeah, they get broadcast. It's a reservation, so they can't come. Nobody should be able to come or go, but they can get information in and out. They also can't get certain level of tech can't come in and out. So that's good business for famine. There's things like that. There's the world that we've worked out is exceedingly deep. It could really cover an RPG book, and you'd be able to run right through it, knowing exactly what would happen where and where you are. So I'm really happy about that. But it's trying to wrangle stories out of that world that I've got to improve on.
Wow, yeah, no, that's amazing. There's a lot of stories to look forward to with Jack and his crew.
Yes. Well, we've been about an hour.
Do we have any more questions from the chat?
Exactly.
Anyone in the chat want to ask a few more questions as we start wrapping things up? Let's see. We
are technically in space. We're also in. Well, actually, no, we're not. We're in space time, brother.
Whoa, man, you're blowing my mind.
They're the same damn thing.
Oh, now you've got Deskquill excited about an RPG for Jack Irons.
Well, I've got somebody who wanted to do a tabletop skirmish game. Huh. So I think Deskquill is aware of that person. So we'll see. Oh, there we go. There's a good question.
Go right.
Blue and Bob, Blue and Bob. Can Jack sire children? That's been something I've been wrestling with the entire time.
Wow.
I am unsure how I wanted to handle that. The main way I've been handling it is he is so afraid of passing on whatever he is, this curse of eternal life and eternal pain and eternal loss, that he just doesn't do it.
But maybe if the right woman or man came along, perhaps, who knows what would happen. You know, only time we can tell.
Alien.
Or alien. Yeah, geez, who knows what he's into? Yeah, it could be like Mass Effect all over again.
But I've thought of that as a good story trope, his children coming back to mess with him or such. But I'm also thinking he's lived so many lives, he's had he knows the experience, and he knows the loss of both being a child and losing their parents and being a parent and losing their child so many times. It's not new to him. He doesn't have much of a desire to take part in that. It's a lot of apathy with Jack.
Do you think he might adopt someone as a child instead of siring, as was said?
It kind of adopts all humanity, but
Mm.
in a more literal sense, check out issue 2 and 3, and you'll kind of get an idea of how I handle that.
Mm. Okay, something to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely issue 2. You guys will see a glimpse of it. Issue 3 finishes that storyline that I begin there. So if you want to finish it, we got to get that issue 3 out too.
So I wanted to ask you real quick, just for a fun question. After a
Yeah.
hard day of working on Jack Irons, how do you like to unwind?
Oh God, it's so. If I'm not doing my day job, I'm working. The
Wow.
unwind, but no, really, I do try. I read a lot. I read a lot of comics. I kind of consider that work though once in a while because it's adding to my creative repertoire. But for fun, things to decompress. Yeah, reading. I play video games, of course.
Have you caught
A lot
up
of
on
shooters and
we
such.
talked about the Netflix shows. Have you caught up on the Netflix Marvel shows?
Which one? The one
Daredevil and such
I
and
never watched through Jessica Jones, but all the others I've been
you
caught
saw.
up on for a
Oh really?
while.
Okay. I've just been catching up on the season 3 Daredevil today, and man, it's pretty good.
I enjoyed it thoroughly. I did. It's a fine end. It's fine. They missed an opportunity in the church. They had everything. They had everything in the
To
church
pull something from the comic.
for that scene. Yeah, they had everything set up to really make an indent and really finish off the Netflix universe with a bit of gravity. A
Yeah,
little bit of, oh wow, that fucking happened and it's not going to be undone into this because the character they could have dealt with, everything was there and it would have made a huge impact because that character was in so many of the Netflix shows. But it was fine. It was good. I liked how in this version Kingpin kind of creates Bullseye. I don't want to do any more ruining, but I enjoyed that a lot.
I know exactly what you mean now. I know exactly who you're talking about now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Dang,
I mean, I
it's
enjoyed the Kingpin's performance throughout the whole Daredevil. He's an extremely talented actor, and he's done the Kingpin better than anybody.
oh yeah,
So
definitely. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I love it. I do think the casting was perfect for those series. You know, it was
yeah,
really good.
for what they wanted. I was a little worried with
Oh yeah,
Bernthal, but
can we
but
ask
then
you?
how
Yeah,
they
can I
wrote
ask you
Frank,
about that?
that
Because I
went
know you're
well.
a huge fan of the Punisher. What did you think of his portrayal?
So a lot of people don't like it for various reasons, and I kind of understand a few of them. But I enjoyed it for what it is. I again, it was a property that I instead of loving it so much, I couldn't let go of the past. I loved it so much, I kind of wanted to because I wanted to like it. And once I made that jump and kind of was like, oh, this is how they're doing that, I was fine with it. And Bernthal's his intensity was good. That was something I needed. This Frank needs to feel like a force of nature, not
Yeah,
not
yeah,
not a cold, calculative, just force of destruction. And they did that
yeah.
really well in
That's very
Daredevil
true.
season 2. I wish there was more scenes like that opening where he slaughters all those Irish gang members.
Mm.
I really do. At the beginning of Punisher, I believe he runs over the Hell's Angels. That was pretty good too. That was pretty good. So they did a lot of good. They could have done more, and I hope they get to do more on like Hulu or something. But
Yeah,
we'll see.
seriously. Yeah, I
We'll
mean
see.
that's exciting. I mean, I think you're right. He did a really good job. He's a powerful actor, and I really loved him
Yeah.
from coming from The Walking Dead when he was Shane on that show.
Yeah.
He was, and so yeah, it was really cool to see him do that. But as for your comic reading, you said you like to read comics to unwind and stuff. So what are some of just the latest few things that you've been catching up on?
I'm gonna go look at my stack.
I got a stack just like that,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. So I've been catching up on Rags as it comes out. I'm a big
Oh,
fan
nice.
of the creator, and I've just been collecting on my Patreon. So that I'm always happy when that shows up. Uh, I started reading Turok from Valiant. I got a
Really?
huge lot off of eBay. Yeah, because it has to deal with my top Predator character, and I kind of want to differentiate yet take the good stuff I like. And so far, it's corny '90s fun. I'm fine with it. It's not great. It's not the worst thing. It does what it needs to do. I've been trying to finish Nausicaa, the manga, forever. It's just so heavy. It goes through. It puts me through so many ring of emotions. I love the book so goddamn much. I just
Really?
these last. Let's see. I'm on volume I'm on volume 5, almost done, and there's a 6 and a 7 still I got to get through. But it's gorgeous work. He draws it more like a Western comic than a manga, so I like that. It makes it a little bit easier to read. More grand scenes, a lot more detail, a lot more like Berserk likes to draw.
Oh wow, really? Okay.
Yeah, not style at all, but more Western
Right.
instead of
Yeah.
minimalist.
More
A lot of
detail.
manga artists, yeah, exactly, are minimalist. Hayao had no time frame on this. Hell, he got the movie out before the 3rd volume was out. So the story is quite different from the movie too.
Oh really?
But
Oh wow.
it's so much better. I mean, it puts me through the ringer, like I said, emotionally. No book has done that.
That's
So
amazing.
I really love that book. I got The Question. I've been reading a big lot of that. A big fan of that guy from Justice League. Book's not like the character from Justice League, sadly. It's more of a kind of a daredevil. If he was also not in terms of power, but it's a street level brawler guy. It's like Batman, but without the tech, I guess. And he's just like driving around beating up people. It's all right. And he's just he's anti-corporate and such. It's fine. It's just not the conspiracy theorist I really wanted. So that was disappointing.
Interesting. Yeah.
Manga. I'm almost through the 1st volume of Trigun, and then I got the 2nd and Maximum to get through. I don't know if people are familiar with Kirihime. It's kind of an obscure manga. Yeah,
no, I don't
Gun
think
Witch,
so.
Kirihime. It's kind of a silly romance, but it's also a very Western in terms of actual like Trigun. It's very it's a Western theme, but with magic bullets, and it's funny. It's funny, sexy fun. I enjoy it.
A little bit of a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, that would be a guilty pleasure, but no question, because it's not that good, but it's really fun. And I'm 12 volumes into Dragon Ball, so I'm
oh wow, reading the OG Dragon Ball, huh?
Oh, so much better than I enjoy. It's very much, the anime was pretty damn close, but the intent and how he delivered it is so much better. He's straight from the creator.
It's funny.
Can't get better.
When I was a kid, my mom picked me up the first Dragon Ball issues, and I didn't even know what manga was back then, and I just read through them and fell in love with manga and then anime eventually. But yeah, no, his storytelling is quite amazing.
Yeah, and I like the fun. I'm not the biggest fan of Z, Super, and GT.
I get
like
that,
Dragon Ball a lot because I like the silly fun of just the kid who's so badass. He beats the entire Nazi army by himself. I love it. I love that. It's just I like that fun.
No, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so that's great. I like that you're reading both Western and manga, Western comics and manga as well.
Yeah, I hadn't until Cactus kind of told me, yeah, you really need to do this. It's how you make money in this industry at the moment. So
yeah,
okay. And the pacing of manga, that's my favorite bit.
You'd probably. I'm surprised you haven't gotten into.
So quick.
I'm surprised you haven't gotten into My Hero Academia yet.
I watched the heck out of the anime.
Nice. Okay,
cool. If you notice it charting too on Shonen Jump and such, it's been dropping the last few years because I don't know exactly. Maybe they lost their initial steam. So it hasn't got me enthused to do anything beyond the anime.
No, I feel that. I love the anime myself.
Yeah, the anime is killer. I absolutely adore the delivery, the music, the art, everything. It's well done.
One of my favorite manga right now is called Immortal Hounds, and it's pretty cool. It's about this world where people can't. They just if they can't die, they just regenerate, and so things like colds, they just shoot themselves, and I'm fine. I'm all better now. I don't have a cold. But these people are going around spreading this disease called RTS. Was it RTS or something? Basically, they make them if they make you fall in love with them, they become deficient of this whatever this thing is, and they're able to then die. And so there's these people going around actually trying to spread this disease to people. And it's as you imagine, with almost everyone being immortal, it gets really crazy with the action and stuff. And
that sounds like a very Japanese concept.
Oh yeah,
no, that's very cool.
The art is really nice too. The art's really crisp and really detailed and nice and actiony, like Sentai stuff or not Sentai. What is it? What am I trying to think of the word? Oh well. But so anyway, as we're wrapping up, we have another question. One more question here from Desk. Well, real quick, he also says, "What about My Hero Macadamia?" which I know has been pretty popular with that book series coming out. Right?
I'm a fan of Timothy Lim. He's done so much for me. I mean, Jack ended up
Oh,
in
nice.
Space Force and colored by
Oh,
Brett
yeah.
Dar Smith. You know, that was just cool. Big fan. I haven't gotten on a lot of the Antarctic press stuff. I want to get Black Ops. I want to get My Hero, just because besides liking the author personally, I like or the artist. I think he also does conceptual stuff for the stories. I'm not 100% sure, but besides that, I enjoy his art, just period. It's always really nice and crisp. It's rounded, but it still ends up conveying whatever action he wants to. It's silly, but it still conveys strength. It's Western, yet it's still very manga. I appreciate all those angles. So yeah, I guess, if we're what about. Like to.
And Dusk, as his final question, wants to say if there is one sentence you could describe the plans you have for your plan for Ironverse, what would that sentence be? One sentence to describe your plans for the Ironverse.
Don't ask me to settle it in one sentence.
Yeah, that's
No,
gonna
really,
be two sentences right there.
It'd be really tough.
Maybe expansion.
Yeah, that was my first word, but that's one word, so
it's not really much of a sentence. Yeah,
it's tough. I hope people enjoy it. That would work. Am I flailing right enough to make this work? I don't know. but my hopes would be I'm hoping. I guess the pitch sentence for Ironverse is our word is metal, so I guess that'll work.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I just wanted to ask one final question myself, which is, as we're getting to the end, is there anything you want to tell your fans? Anything you want to say to the people who have backed you and helped you get here?
Continue, because I can never really adequately express my gratitude. I'd like to thank everybody who showed up. I'd like to thank you two folks for having me and broadcasting this on out.
Oh, you're welcome.
No problem.
Just everybody who keeps this little idea of mine spinning and enjoys the ride. I'm grateful for every single one of you, every positive interaction. Hell, some of the negative I'm grateful for too, because I learned from them. So, I'm just, honestly, just thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. We're looking forward to seeing what you come out with number 2 and beyond. And as Duskquill says, inspires here, from Jurassic Park. Samuel Jackson said, "Hold on to your butts." You got a lot of good stuff coming your way. So thanks again for joining us in the chat, everyone. This has been our creator interview with Cody Fernandez, the creator behind Jack Irons. We've gotten to talk a lot about good stuff today, and we're really, really happy that you're able to make it with us. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you guys next time for whatever we have coming down the pipeline. And stay tuned. Follow Cody on at @cowboy_seal. Go to his Patreon, help back him, and help get the next issue out.
Absolutely, and I'll see you guys on that old dusty comic trail.
See you there, guys.
Oh, and have yourself a great one, Cody.
Later.
You too.